From the favelas of Brazil to the screaming crowds of the Bernabeu, Vinicius Junior's journey is the ultimate story of resilience and raw talent. In today's video, we'll be checking out the incredible story behind Vinicius Junior's rise to stardom. How did he go from a young kid in São Gonçalo to one of the brightest stars at Real Madrid? Stick around, because by the end, you'll learn a little-known fact about Vinicius that even the most die-hard fans don't know. If you're a fan of the beautiful game, and you want more inspiring stories like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and let's get started. Imagine someone telling you back in 2018 that Vinicius Junior would be in the conversation for the Ballon d'Or by 2024. Would you have believed them? Probably not. After all, his debut season with Real Madrid wasn't exactly a blockbuster. But if you'd ask those who knew little Vinny growing up, they'd tell you they always expected this. Standing amongst the best in the world. That was just destiny waiting to be fulfilled. Vinicius José Paixão de Oliveira Jr. wasn't exactly born into luxury or privilege. His childhood home in São Gonçalo, Brazil, was at the end of a dead-end street. Vinny's journey to stardom kicked off when he joined Flamengo after passing a youth trial. It didn't take long for the kid to make headlines. The turning point came when he played in the prestigious Copinha, a youth tournament that's basically the World Cup for Brazilian teams. Soon enough, his talent took him to the international stage. At just 16, he represented Brazil at the 2017 Under-17 South America Championship. With an outstanding 7 goals, he helped Brazil lift the trophy, bringing home not just a winner's medal, but a reputation as one of the most promising young talents in world football. By now, Europe's biggest clubs were paying attention, and the race to sign him had begun. European clubs have always had an eye for young Brazilian prodigies. It's like a rite of passage, from Ronaldo Nazário, who made waves when he left Cruzeiro at 18 to join PSV Eindhoven back in 1994, to Neymar, who left his mark in Santos before heading to Barcelona in 2013. Vinicius Junior was no different, only his journey was even more interesting. The kid hadn't even had a proper stint with Flamengo's senior team, but his face was already splashed across European sports magazines, and scouts from the biggest clubs in the world were whispering his name. They all wanted him, but it was Real Madrid who went all in and won the race for his signature. Real Madrid struck a jaw-dropping deal, signing Vinny before he even turned 18. In fact, he'd only played 17 minutes of senior football when Madrid put down an eye-watering €46 million to secure his future. At the time, it made him the second most expensive Brazilian player ever, only topped by Neymar. In July 2018, Vinicius finally arrived in Madrid. It was a strange yet symbolic moment for the club. Just as their icon, Cristiano Ronaldo, departed for Juventus, Vinicius was stepping in, a young, untested talent from Brazil, arriving to fill the shoes left by one of the greatest players in Madrid's history. There's no doubt that the Vinicius we see now is a force of nature. He's so explosive that it's hard to imagine he once struggled on the same stage. But if you've forgotten the rocky start to his Madrid career, let me take you back to those early days. Like every other fan, Madrid supporters were sold the dream of a young Brazilian wonder kid. But Vinicius wasn't the instant sensation they'd expected. In fact, he was far from it. His first season was a reality check, ending with just 3 goals and 9 assists. The second came with a slight improvement in goals with 5, but his assists dropped to 4. His third season ended with 6 goals and 7 assists. Those numbers were far from what fans had hoped for, and it wasn't just the stats that left people frustrated. Vinicius struggled with the basics, passing, controlling, and even his dribbling often fell flat. His lack of consistency kept him out of the starting lineup more often than not, especially in those first 3 seasons. And then there was the infamous tunnel incident against Borussia Mönchengladbach in the Champions League. During half-time, cameras caught Karim Benzema, Madrid's senior forward, venting his frustrations to Ferland Mendy, saying, "Don't play with him on my mother's life, he's playing against us." It was a wake-up call. The frustration was now so obvious that even his own teammates were losing patience. Something had to change. And that change arrived in the form of Carlo Ancelotti. If you want an idea where the rebirth of Vinicius started, it was in the 21-22 season, with 22 goals and 20 assists across all competitions. He tore through defences, becoming a nightmare for La Liga and Champions League opponents alike. His partnership with Karim Benzema blossomed into something extraordinary. Together, they led Madrid to both La Liga and Champions League triumphs, with Vinicius scoring the winning goal in the Champions League final. It was his arrival moment, the moment the world saw him as a true star. It seemed like Vinicius had finally reached a place where it was all smooth sailing, where he could simply focus on playing his game. But there was a harsh reality awaiting him. Now here's the thing, Spain's football scene, like most of its society, has always had issues of racism. Over the years, we've seen black players subjected to racist abuse from Spanish fans. These days, it is Vinicius that is suffering the brunt of it. What makes it worse is that these attacks aren't limited to just verbal abuse. Before a Copa del Rey clash against Atletico Madrid in January, rival fans went so far as to hang an inflatable doll with a Vinicius shirt from a bridge. The tipping point came at the Mestalla Stadium, home of Valencia, where the world finally caught a full glimpse of the intensity of the racism Vinicius had been dealing with. The insults, the jeers, the slurs weren't isolated moments, but part of a consistent pattern. In the 2022-23 season alone, there were 7 other reported instances of racist abuse directed at Vinicius. It wasn't just at the Mestalla. Similar incidents took place at Barcelona's Camp Nou, Real Betis Benti Villamarin, Osasuna's El Sadar, and Mallorca's Son Moi. In all this mess, Vinicius had been pretty much left to fend for himself. He faced down the hate, the insults, the endless taunts, all while knowing full well there's rarely any consequence for the people dishing it out. And maybe because they know they'll get away with it, other players seem to be more aggressive towards him. Sure, Vinny's a passionate guy. He wears his heart on his sleeve and doesn't shy away from showing some attitude. But no amount of flair or fire should ever justify the level of racial abuse he has had to put up with. And as expected, the relentless hate has clearly taken a toll. There was even a press conference before a friendly between Spain and Brazil where he broke down, talking about how the constant racism he faces just hits too close to home, and it all spilled out in front of the cameras. But here's the thing, despite all of it, Vinny hasn't let the hate affect his game. If anything, he's managed to channel it, using all that negativity as fuel to make himself even better. Looking back to 2021, his journey has been nothing short of impressive. From that season onwards, Vinicius has made the Champions League Team of the Year 3 times in a row. In the 2021-22 season, he earned the Young Player of the Year award. Now fast forward to last season, Vinny's taken things to a whole new level. He wrapped up the season with 24 goals and 11 assists, winning his 2nd Champions League title and 3rd La Liga trophy to his name. You can really tell how far he's come when people are seriously debating that he deserves the Ballon d'Or in 2024, especially after the way he sealed Madrid's win in that Champions League final against Dortmund. It's wild to think he's only 24, and yet he's already achieved so much. The idea of what he could do in the years ahead is exciting, and maybe even a little intimidating for Madrid's rivals. He's already one of the best, but he's nowhere near done. Vinicius is ambitious, no question about it. You could see in his reaction to losing out on the Ballon d'Or this year. The hunger is part of what's driven him from his rocky start to the star we see today. A player who's not only crucial to Madrid's attack, but has become the face of the team. With all the big names arriving at the Bernabeu in recent seasons, you might think he'd fade into the background. But Vinny, he's making it crystal clear. This is still his team, and he's here to stay for a very long time.